Right, we're going to get started in one moment. It's time for a lovely cup of coffee at this bright old time of 5 p.m. So today we're going to be doing a proper first ever speed painting challenge, starting with the Great Salamanders. For this, we're going to be replicating this fella here. And hopefully we can paint this within the hour. Recently, if I can actually find the miniature itself, recently I did quick speed paint on a Salamander Terminator, which I actually have no idea where he is, which is kind of fun. But first live streams as things go. Apologies if there's any hiccups along the way, but I think this should be quite fun and slightly exciting. But the first paint we're going to be starting off with is none other than a Vulcan Green. This is going to be our primary paint, and we're just going to slap it down onto our wet palette. I've got to shake it first though. So I think whenever I do one of these kind of quick speed painting videos, I think it might be useful just to do a little live stream to show how it's actually done in real time. That, and I've never really live streamed before. It could be fun, it could be horrendous. Let me know what you think. Salamanders are pretty interesting as far as things go. You'll be able to see in this camera here, this little green splotch of paint. To paint this as fast as I can, we're going to make this pretty watery. This isn't going to look S tier. It's going to be a fun speed paint. And it's kind of proving what you can do in an hour. An hour is actually a reasonably long time, but I'd probably put about three paintfuls, or 3 water loads, paintbrushes of water onto this. So here we have our Primaris Space Marine. He's a wonderful fella, but he definitely needs a coat of paint. If you're wondering how I got to this stage, all I did was painted him black and sprayed him white. You don't need to do this in an actual painting thing. I think it's just easier to help you guys see. So we're just going to start by literally coating everything in this green. So you can kind of see, you want it thin enough where it's not fully opaque. We're kind of going to do 2 thin coats, which is probably the most stereotypical thing everyone says these days. If I could do 1 thick coat, that's the dream. But I actually went to Warhammer World for a work expo not too long ago, on Monday actually, and I actually managed to see the new Horus Heresy stuff, and it was actually really interesting. It was really cool to walk past all their dioramas. And as someone who actually makes dioramas, my gosh, the amount of effort that I must take. Just like I've severely underestimated how much paint I need to put on my palette. But I think this is a great dark green to start off with. We're going to slowly be going brighter and brighter. Ending with a nice light green. This is kind of more of a Dark Angels green at this point. This is what I'd actually be highlighting with if I was painting Dark Angels, which is my favourite chapter, personally. Been recently reading Enmity's Edge, which is a story about Lazarus, who I couldn't care less about at first, until I started reading the book, and he's actually a pretty cool dude. Basically one of the first major Dark Angels to cross the Rubicon into the Primaris. I think this year I fully adapted trying to become a full nerd. After delving into the models for a long time, I think it's about time to start learning some of the lore. And it's definitely pretty interesting. Alright, let's just splam all this paint everywhere. Because we ain't got no time. I like to think, if you're on your 1 hour lunch break, could you get the Space Marine painted? I think probably. Not that I would do it at lunchtime just in case my boss did see me. I think that'd be quite an awkward meeting to say, were you eating a sandwich and painting Space Marines on your lunch break? Even though it'd probably be pretty chill. So I'm painting the Salamanders. Forgive me, funny man, if there is a delay. I think there's like a 30 or 40 second delay into what I'm painting. Oh well, what a nice voiceover. But we're painting the Salamanders today, which will be a fun, really quick paint scheme in hopefully under an hour. So it's all about trying to get my speed on and make as little mistakes as I can and paint as efficiently as I can, which is why it's going to look really crap, to be honest, at the beginning, but there's lots of cool things we can do. Unfortunately, this is the most boring part of painting, just the base coat. Trying to get every part green. Thank you, White Shadow, for the chat. What's your favourite Space Marine chapter? Or, dare I say, if you don't even play Space Marines, what's your actual favourite chapter in Warhammer? I think I chose Dark Angels originally because they're really fun and edgy. If you've ever read the Cypher book, it is one of the funniest and just fun moments in all of Warhammer. There's like so many cool scenes. They even fire Custodies. I won't spoil it, but it's pretty fun. There's also a horizontal live stream, if you are wondering. If you're on desktop. Nice. I've also got the Saturnine box. I'm kind of worried about how I want to paint it, because I'm currently planning on making... shaking this paint off camera. I'm currently planning on making, what's it, the Drop Pod Ishtavan 5 Accident or whatever, I can't remember, Massacre. Currently trying to plan to make a diorama around that, because I saw it in Warhammer World and it was pretty cool, but I'd love to make my own like tiny version. A bit too much paint on this. Yeah, white scars are pretty cool. They're quite fun to paint if you just spray them white. That's one of the reasons why I do like them. And I kind of would love to like try and make like a Stormtrooper-esque or Clone Trooper White Scar army. And with some of the new stuff that's coming out, they got some really cool things. Especially the new jet bikes. Oh, thanks, man. So yeah, painting's coming along reasonably well. We're at 9 minutes in. Probably a bit actually less than that since the stream started. But we're approaching our second base coat, which we're kind of wanting this to be the last base coat. Green, thankfully, is a pretty forgiving colour because it's reasonably opaque. And thanks, Mark Victoria. Thanks for the comment. But yeah, I think one of my goals is to eventually just paint one Space Marine from every chapter, and then maybe eventually, even after that, the success chapters. But there's literally thousands of them, so I don't think that might ever happen. This is the part of the video where, if I was making it, I'd quickly skip over this part. Because you're literally just grabbing very wet paint, slapping it all over this marine. It's kind of fun. I think this is the part where I'm listening to an audiobook and my brain is fully switched off. Yeah, thanks, Tainted. Yeah, I will be adding a fire effect. So this is the outcome what we're aiming for. This is one I speed painted earlier. So hopefully we can get to this within an hour. I'm slightly optimistic, but there you go. I'll show the camera better. So hopefully it will be relatively okay to get to that point. Yeah, fortunately I thinned my paint a bit too much here, but it's alright. It's all part of the process, all part of the plan. And this is probably the time where I'd be like, oh, look at that little bit, I forgot to paint that. Where you just go to the next marine, base coat it green. I've never actually properly done army painting. But I think that's That's how I would do it, at least. I think it's time to get some more paint down. The music is... I can't put it in the description now because I don't have access to my keyboard. But it is Bits and Hits, and I think it should be the Halo soundtrack lo-fi version. There's also the Skyrim soundtrack as well. They're really, really talented at making chill lo-fi beats to paint to. I definitely recommend putting them on YouTube. But in the VOD of this, I'll shout out all the links to all the music featured. Right, look at this hot, wet mess of a Space Marine. I'll turn the lamp up a little bit so you can see him better. And I'm thinking, yeah, let's paint this backpack. That seems to be the driest part. Because we don't want it to get too thick, otherwise we'll lose the detail. But I think a good part of speed painting is, if you're trying to get it done in an hour, you know, it's pretty easy. And you shouldn't really be worrying about how it's going to look. So obviously the less time you spend on things, it's not going to look amazing. And as long as you enjoy what you do, that's the best part. Hey Pepper, I haven't painted in a week. Yeah, I sometimes... I've been really busy at work as well, and I find when I'm really busy I can easily go like a few weeks without painting. So this is a Citadel Vulcan Green. My favourite painting company I'd probably say is AK Interactive, is my go-to. There are some Games Workshop paints. I think it also depends where you live. If you're in the US, it's a lot more expensive. In the UK, Games Workshop stuff's pretty cheap. Comparatively, it's not cheap by any standards. But yeah, I think I've put too much, thinned my paints too much this time. Yeah, I'm trying to think where I put my... It's rare you misplace a mini, but I do have a Salamander Terminator I painted recently. Is he? Here he is. So this is the paint scheme I'm using today to paint this. This is what I painted for a short series. The video hasn't fully gone out yet. But this is the Terminator I speed painted in a couple of hours. But I think it turned out really well. I really like him. Especially the fire effects. We'll get to that later. But we won't be able to get this kind of wash because I use an enamel wash in this. We might have to use some no-no or something later, or just hope. Just hope it dries. This is the part where I'm just waiting for paint to dry. Ah, thank you, Samuel. Sleep streams are the best streams. If I was not on camera right now, I'd probably put this in front of a fan and just blow into it and try and hope hope it paints better. I just realised I didn't even need to paint the shoulder pads green because they'll be black. So I probably could have left that. One thing I might do, while waiting for the green to dry, let's possibly make some regrets. We're going to be painting some metallics quickly using my favourite ever black paint, black metal. Yeah, I do need a hairdryer. I think if I used it on stream though, I think I'd deafen everyone. So sometimes, should I use the metallics on the wet palette or the dry palette? Who knows? I think there's not too much of a difference. Let me darken. There we go. I should color grade that. I like to use just a dry palette a lot, to be honest, with a lot of paints. It's just a lot of fun. And you get this really nice kind of like cool gradient effect. So I'm just going to thin down this metallic silver quickly. and just test the paint on the rim. Do we actually need to paint too much silver? I think I'm going to paint the gas canister. Oh, I already got paint on my hand. But I think I'm just going to paint the gas canister because this obviously will be like a nice colour brass later. And maybe this little bit here. The reason why I say this might be a huge mistake is because we're going to do some dry brushing, or dry sponging rather, which could go good or could go bad. But I think I might be able to save some time doing that. I'm just going to try and wick up all the rest of the wet paint. So I added a little bit too much. What's your most hated colour? Thanks. Yeah, I think the way I also make my videos, I cut way too much. I think whenever I make a long video, I try to keep it under 8 minutes because I feel worried that I'm wasting people's time. I think that's one of the hard things to like get a good balance of. But I think the fun with the live stream is, you know, I don't really have to worry about the edit. I usually spend 8 hours editing a video. It's far too many. But I work in editing as well, so it's like I make game trailers by day, make Warhammer videos by night. That's my life at the moment, but it's a fun one at that, which I do love. So I think maybe one more quick layer of green. I kind of wanted just the 2 coats, but I think unfortunately we're going to have to do the 3. Obviously, this is a great time if you did have an airbrush. You could just airbrush this really quickly and skip this whole step. There we go. We're no longer seeing the white underneath the base coat. Also, probably be better just base coat it black. And also, I think this paint might be a little tad too thick. But it's a live stream. It's alright. So what I'm doing now is trying to wick away any kind of thick paints and look for any streak marks, especially around his legs. Pardon me. So the parts where he really needs to thicken this paint up, definitely this little bit here. Here on the hands. Hi LMR, thanks for watching. Today we're speed painting the Salamanders. Really fun, probably maybe one of the favourites of the Space Marine chapters. Probably one of the nicer Space Marine chapters out there who actually treat people a bit nicely. A rarity in the Warhammer 40k universe. I think this backpack's good. His legs, kind of alright. This is fine. It's still a bit streaky. On growing a Warhammer channel, I think it's very hard, in all honesty. I think YouTube is one of the hardest platforms you can try and grow on. And I think the best thing you could do is just make videos for yourself. And if they get good, if they get views, then that's a great thing. I think for me, it took me 1 year to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I was posting once, maybe sometimes twice a month. And I got like, I remember when I first started YouTube, I thought, because with the background in editing and all this stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I'll get loads of views on my first video. And then I got like 10. And I was like, ah, damn. And it's kind of like that journey of like making videos for yourself rather than for other people. I hope that helps. Not to be like a downer. Just make videos for yourself watch other people's videos and maybe try and copy them. I think sometimes just trying to copy someone's style can be like a useful way to do it. There's also some great YouTube advice. Honestly, just thinking, if you want to actually just grow your channel, make YouTube shorts. Making YouTube shorts will get you loads of views if they're good. Try and gain 70% viewer attention. Hey, ZZO Bob, I won't be able to pronounce your name, but thanks for watching the stream. There are 2 versions of this live stream. If you're on mobile, there's a vertical version, or if you're on desktop, there's a landscape version. Landscape version, you'll be able to see more, just because it's a lovely bigger screen. But I think we're almost done with this base coat. I hate this little bit. This really was quite annoying. The paint's gone too thick on this shoulder, on this leg, pauldron. That's alright, you're welcome. Thanks, Anmar. Wish you all the best with your comic as well. Drawing traditional and digital. I wish I could draw. I think a huge congrats to you if you can draw. It's definitely a long process. Salamanders were your first Space Marine faction. That's pretty cool. I think my when I was a kid, obviously it was Ultramarines, so the first ever chapter I ever painted, and then I was away for 20 years, and now I'm back. My favourite chapter, even though I actually haven't painted a single one, is the Ultramarines. Good afternoon, Fat Man's Kitchen. But yeah, my favourite Space Marines, the Dark Angels. For what green this is Vulcan Green, by Games Workshop, Citadel. It's a really nice, flat, dark green. This is what I'd probably highlight with if I was painting Dark Angels. I do love to talk about them, which if I do more live streams, you'll probably figure out. I'm kind of loving and hating this. But this is the way I like to paint is painting one colour. Oh, thank you for subscribing. But the way I like to paint is I'd paint this and then I'd bugger off for a day. I'll paint like a few Space Marines just with one colour, and then I'll leave the ADHD approach, and then I'll come back and I'll do another colour. I like to do things one colour at a time, and at least that way you don't have to wait for paint to dry, which is what we're going to have to do now. Literally live streaming, watching paint dry. But the next colour will be Warpstone Glow, which I transferred into this bottle, which I hate. Cannon Vanscott. Well, Cannon, I'll say. But yes, painting Death Guard, I actually, not to self-promote myself, but I do have a video on that. Here you go. Here's a little Death Guard boy. This is my previously failed first ever live stream. I managed to paint this in. So you could do this in about an hour. And it's a really, really nice armor effect. It's all down to dry brushing, but I do have a video on that. One of my more popular videos. Ah, here's the actual one. This is my actual painted Death Guard. There you go. I'll put it on the camera properly. I think Death Guard are super fun to paint. They're pretty easy. You'll be painting your first Imperial Fists. That's pretty cool. Imperial Fists, another guy, just end reach. Imperial Fist Terminator I painted a couple weeks ago, and I did this cool, what I think is kind of fun, as a lightning effect coming out of the hammer. But this is kind of what I like to do, it's just like these kind of fun speed paints. Thanks, I'll check your account later for your lovely comics. But thank you for commenting. All right, is it time? Is this paint dry? Because we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Look at this lovely boy. This is a makeup sponge, and this has taken the Warhammer world by storm for the past year. What we're going to be doing is dipping it into some water like this. Now we've got a lovely little wet sponge. Squeeze any water out. Basically, we're just going to want to make this sponge a little bit damp. And we're just going to put... So this is one of the bad things about using a dry palette. I can't tell where I've put wet paint. I think this is where I started with, so I'm going to put it over here. Unfortunately, as nice as decanting bottles is, they're a bit annoying. I do wish Games Workshop actually put them in bottles like this rather than having to do it. I wouldn't do it anymore. But what I'm going to do is mix a couple of paints together, just like this. And then with our sponge, I'm going to dab it in here. And we're just going to dab it all across this dry palette. And then once we've got Space Marine, we can start just doing this. Oh, I forgot to glue that down. Oh. Before the paint dries. As you can see, it's leaving this nice, really subtle effect on the armor. Alright, this is going to really annoy me. Where is my plastic glue? Here it is. So I'm just going to quickly glue this backpack on. And actually make sure it's straight. Give the old bottle a good shake. Try and get as much of this out as I can. Oh, what's that? Oh, I guess it was just a bit of dirt. Here we go. Now this is the effect I wanted. We can start to get this lovely bright green across the whole Space Marine. I think the one hard thing with Salamanders is how bright do you want your green to be? It's a little balancing game. But yeah. And I'm only going to do this from the top going downwards. That way we're kind of doing a zenithal highlight with a sponge. Super useful, super great. Look at that. We're already getting this nice kind of like cell, it's not cell shaded, but it's a nice little effect. And the one thing with these big makeup sponges, it's going to be hard to get in here. But having this two-tone look is definitely quite nice. I mean, look at this already. It's already looking great. It's literally the base coat that takes the longest. Yeah, bright salamanders. Definitely one of the ways to go. I think this is like... I like to use a lot of enamel washes. Like, if you are new to the chat, this is the look we're going for. This has an enamel wash. And it will turn this bright green down to like this darker green. And I think it looks great. We won't be able to do an enamel wash today because it takes a day to dry. But we can at least get the first base coats here. Now I'm going to do something different and go to unexplored territory. I'm going to add a bit of this intermediate green in. And we'll see if it's a complete disaster or if it works. It's kind of a bit pastel-y for my liking. Which you can see here. I'll move the thing up. There you go, here. But I'm going to try and outweigh that. We're just going to see what happens. Dab a bit here, dab a bit there. I'm going to do a very precautionally little bit on top. Okay, yeah, I liking that. I think that's about probably like a 50-50 mix. And I probably put, yeah, it's a bit desaturated for my liking. But I think it might be alright, you know? This is the part where I'm also noticing all the parts where I missed painting. We can even go maybe a little bit brighter. You can just test it on here to see how much green you're leaving behind. There we go, we've got a lovely bright green backpack and head. Alright, so I think it's kind of looking okay. I might come back later and add some more highlights, I think, but as you can see, one of the bad things we did just paint over all the silver work we did. But let's paint some black. For the next paint, I'm going to be using Black Legion contrast paint, the best contrast paint you can use. And we can pretty much just slap this straight on. So what we'll be using this for, we're going to be using it for the shoulder pads. And this is just one lovely coat of black. Gosh, it is quite hard to see when you're holding it arm's reach away, which is kind of a fun experiment to be painting an arm's reach away. Thanks, Amal. Well, thanks for coming around. Hope you have a great day and an even tastier lunch. So next we're going to be painting the rest of this gun black, pretty much. Everything apart from the silvery areas, this purity seal. Yeah, music's great. Bits and Something is the artist. Bits and Hits. They're a YouTube channel that do great lo-fi beats. In a world, I'd love to be playing Expedition 33 music, if any of you guys have played it. Possibly my favourite game ever. It's definitely up there in my top 5. Thankfully we can just paint these hands as well. Thanks, Cannon. It's been great to see you here as well. Hope you have a good time. So what we're going to do now is paint these tiny little bits in his arm crevices. And completely get paint everywhere it's not supposed to be. And if we mess up, it doesn't really matter too much. We can always come back later, fix things, do anything. Let's paint the little bits behind the knee. To anyone who's new to the live stream, we're painting the Salamanders, which was supposed to be under an hour. I've been talking too much and not painting enough. So I don't think we'll be able to do an hour. Maybe an hour and 10. Now this is like the worst case scenario when it comes to knee parts. This bit here. Ooh, look at that. I don't know if you can tell or see on the camera. Or if it's just a bit too dark. But we're really going to have to focus. And I'm happy with that. That'll do. boy oh boy, it's quite hot today. It's been pretty hot in England. But in this room, it is toasty. So it's looking pretty trash right now. But once we start painting little things together, it'll start looking a bit better. Yeah, we will be painting the gun. I'll just be painting that silver. So let's paint the holster now. What paint do I have at hand? We have Leather Brown by AK Interactive, which it's okay. I think Rhinox Hide is better from Games Workshop. This is quite a, as you can see on this little paint pot here. It's okay. I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to love it. It's a very light brown. Yeah, hell yeah. Halo 3 ODST. One of my favourite Halo games. Oh, look at that. Our first mistake. It's going to happen every time we paint, but there's lots of ways we can fix it. Halo is one of my favourite series ever. Another thing I can talk about for hours. I saw Halo Infinite is getting a new update soon, which will have the Falcon. Which should be really fun. I'm also going to be painting these Purity Seals brown. Just as a nice base coat, so we can base coat it for later on. Sometimes it's handy just to see things where they are. Like this Purity Seal here, I almost couldn't see it because I painted it green, obviously. Yeah, definitely with this paint. I think one of the nice things that we'll be doing with this paint, we'll be painting more of a white Purity Seal than a yellow. Mainly because I don't have like Xandri dust on hand at the moment. So I think that's pretty much all the brown. The good thing with this paint is also it's very opaque. So we only really need to do one layer. Ah yes, the back of the Purity Seal. The part everyone forgets. What should we do next? I think, while we're here, let's just start highlighting. I have some ivory that we're going to be mixing with the brown. And we don't really need to bother being accurate with this. Just painting it over it just a tad. For brushes, I think stay away from Games Workshop for brushes, I'd recommend. Or even like, just buy some really cheap brushes. I bought some like really crappy brushes from AliExpress and they were really good. I recently bought some really fancy ones, the Winsor & Newton Klinsky brushes, and they're good. But in all honesty, like, you're paying like 20 times the price for like maybe 10% better the brush. And then you got to worry about keeping it clean, you got to worry about, you know, ruining it. And I'm a lazy painter, you know? I don't want to be worrying about certain things. So I think just go on AliExpress, type in like sometimes watercolor paintbrushes are really good because they can hold a lot of paint. I'm just going to do a bit of like a whiter colour at the top here. I definitely prefer the more yellowy purity seals, but I've been trying to learn to do like a cool white one. And I think this kind of gives the impression. Or being a bit dirty as well. It looks okay. Definitely not my finest work. So I'm thinking next we're going to do some decayed metal. Arguably my favourite ever paint, especially for metallics. I'm just going to put this on our dry palette for now. And thin it just the tiniest bit. So this is a really universal? Just a really good paint. We're going to paint the flamer, this part. I think it was the Cult of Paint video I think I saw on this. This colour, and ever since I've used it I've absolutely loved it. I think it was them, it might not have been though. Ah look, I forgot to paint the back of the gun. One thing I always hate about flamers is you've got all these tiny little holes. Now we're going to move on to what I used to find the most daunting part about painting Space Marines, until I learned, this is a lot of paint on this brush, just hold your brush kind of like sideways, and then it won't get most of the paint. Move that back into focus. You guys playing any games at the moment? I always find there's an interesting crossover between people who play games and people who play Warhammer. I'm quite hyped, a little bit tentatively hyped for the new Battlefield. It looks kind of interesting. Where can you buy single Space Marines? Usually eBay, I think, is your best bet. You can buy like a single sprue Space Marines that you can practice on. Hi Jake Smith. Thanks for watching. Today we're painting the Salamanders. We're supposed to be getting to this colour scheme eventually. We'll see if we do it. I'm cautiously looking at the time, and time has flown by, which means chatting my mouth off. But it's been fun. My favourite army is the Dark Angels. The first, the best. Definitely don't put your trust in them, is all I'd say. They're probably my favourite and more interesting of the characters and chapters. Also, just from like a meta standpoint, they have 4 different colour schemes for each thing. So you have like the Raven Guard, which is black, the actual Dark Angels that are green, the First Company that are bone white, and now we have the Forgiven, which are the Fallen Space Marines. I've been into 40k, I think I played a lot when I was a kid. No, I didn't play. I painted a lot when I was a kid and then basically have forgotten everything I did as a child. And then I got back into it recently just after COVID. I started originally Midwinter Minis, a good channel in this YouTube channel. I painted the Blackstone Fortress miniatures and I followed his schemes. And that's what originally got me back into it. And then obviously you got Space Marine 2 game, which is fantastic. And yeah, this is quite a smooth metallic. Highly recommend it. I wish I was sponsored. Never had an actual sponsorship proper from like a war game painters though. I always find painting sponsorships quite funny because they obviously give the best painters the biggest sponsorships, but like the best painter can make any paint look good. Like it could be like for like pastel colors from like a toy set and they'll manage to make it look really nice. Hi Norik. Currently going through the Assassin's Creed games. Nice. I really want to play Assassin's Creed 2. And Phantom, Paradise painted black, Salamanders. I don't know. Are they painted black? Maybe. I actually don't know if they should be painted black or not. They might be, which in this case I may have made a grave mistake. But I think this shoulder trim is pretty much painted. It's looking pretty decent. Is there any other areas? Oh yeah, I want to paint this skull gold later. So this is all laying down the groundwork for what we'll be painting gold later on. Used to paint a lot as a kid, but started again when Space Marine 2 came out. Yeah, I think a lot of people got into Warhammer around Space Marine 2. It reinvigorated my hype. I think painting is a really hard thing, especially like finding time to paint, especially if like maybe you have ADHD or something. Painting is like, the barriers to entry can be quite hard. So here we have one of a great paint, Elven Gold by Scale 75. Really, really nice gold. They are with the black thing. Yeah, how funny. I'm gonna have to imagine repaint all of them. But yeah, the good thing with Warhammer though, like you can paint any chapter in a kind of different way. They're not super strict. But with this gold, we're going to be kind of just dotting our paintbrush across the edges. And this is going to make a really nice distress look. And the good thing is, we don't actually have to paint all of it. We can just kind of like dot our paintbrush and it'll look like worn gold. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to do, is his chest Aquila, if it is an Aquila. Red Scorpions. Sounds very interesting. I actually can't remember. I'm going to imagine they're red. Red Space Marines are really cool. I was really tempted to get into Blood Angels. They're really cool. Kind of like Blood Angels, like the Dark Angels, but their Primarch's dead and they got cursed. And they don't have an unforgivable sin. Yeah. Citadel paint pots are the worst, especially because they dry really badly. But the reason why I paint with some other colours, some other paint manufacturers just have better colours. And I think I always tend to paint with the same colours throughout. Like this colour schema is something I always use. The Decayed Metal with this gold. I'm sure there's like good Games Workshop equivalents, maybe like the Retributor gold. But it's also just painting with what you're comfortable with. One thing I also realised, which even makes it better for the 1 hour speed paint, is I've got to paint faster than my camera's battery. Am I going to put transfers on the model? I won't be able to do it today, but I have one made earlier, which I'll show you in a sec. I actually don't know where my Salamander transfers are. I'm kind of worried I binned them by accident. So this is the Space Marine, pretty much the exact Space Marine I painted another time ago. So this is what we'll be aiming to do. You see we're almost kind of there. This did have a black enamel wash, which we won't be able to do today. But you can imagine with a little juicy transfer on top. You can go and sit over there now. Oh, they're yellow and black. That's cool. Black and yellow are a great color scheme. So I'm trying to think, yes, that's what I need to do. Quickly water this paint down. Because I forgot to paint his Aquila. Hi, Jake. Got 2 Jakes now. Hope you're having a good day, all of you people who are watching. Or good evening, as we're approaching 6 o'clock in the UK. I think it'd be, what, 1 o'clock in America on the Eastern time? I'm not sure. This is a size 2 brush, pretty big. I think if you're trying to speed paint, bigger brushes are just more useful. But you're going to make more mistakes usually. That is the trade-off. And also, like, right now I'm painting, like, this is my arms fully extended. So I'm painting quite far away from my eyes. So I think that's also a slight negative thing. You've got to lose some accuracy. But I think if you get used to painting with a big brush, it can definitely be quite useful. Make the eyes orange. Yeah, I think I will actually. We'll see. Well, I might experiment actually. We could use a fluorescent paint. But boy oh boy, it's getting hot in this room. Annoyingly, I think that looks fine to me. I'm sure I'm missing bits, but I can't look too closely, otherwise my mouth will be ingested by this. Do you think painting like Blood Angel's Death Company white with bright gold on the Aquila and edges and shoulder pads would look good? I think if you incorporate maybe some black, and maybe it feels like the shoulder pad was black with the red Death Company marks on it, that might look quite cool. I think maybe if you try and incorporate the original color scheme with the white, it'd look quite cool. But at the end of the day, if you just test on your Space Marines, you can paint them however you like. And if they have the Death Company markings, that's pretty cool. One thing I might do is like slightly move my camera so you can see things a bit better. Oh, look at that. Messy. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to specifically edge highlight all of this, I think. I think I'm just going to paint it gold instead. Let me read chat quickly. Black shoulder mounts. Yeah. I think... Yeah, Salamander Bros. I think we're just going to start painting a bit messily now. But that might be a good thing. So yeah, if you're new to the stream, this is the model I managed to paint in about an hour and a half before. We're not doing too good for time compared to this model I painted off camera. But we're having fun doing some chatting. Thanks, David. We're currently going to work on some Chaos Obliterators, especially Night Lords. That sounds sick. I've actually... Oh, you did break. But I've customized some Night Lords to have bat wings, which hopefully I'll be able to paint on a future video or stream. Right, what do we need to do to this? We've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think maybe let's get some silver out again. And just fix all the mistakes we've made along the way. Now, controversial question, what's your most hated chapter? You can't say Ultramarines because that's the most given. It can be hated for the way I hate Grey Wolves. I always call them Grey Wolves. Space Wolves. Being a Dark Angels fan. I always find the Horus Heresy stuff crazy about they just like, you know, fight each other all the time. Or like when Lionel Johnson fought their Primarch and all that fun stuff. I love the Space Marine chapter feuds. Ooh. That is a beep for my camera, and hopefully we don't run out of battery too soon. Let me see if I can charge it on the go. Bear with me 1 second. Well, I think we might have to speed run this, or maybe make it part 2. If the live stream suddenly, oh, it was this camera that died. Rest in peace, that camera. Right. I think in case of the stream dying, I think we're gonna do the ultimate speed run now. So what I'm gonna be using now is some Matte Red by AK Interactive. Great paint. We're just gonna paint the red dots here. And here. So for the sake of doing something fun, let's paint a fire to end the stream on, maybe. So the way I like to make fire, we're just going to sketch some of fire onto a shoulder pad. And you'll remember to do the little cool ash marks. Let's make this like a tool. I think I cocked this up a tiny bit. My apologies. And now what we're going to do, we're going to add some fluorescent orange, which is a really cool paint. Once again by AK Interactive. I like to use water slides. My freehand, I've never tried it, I'll be honest. I think if I was trying to impress people with my paint schemes, I would. But I'm definitely at the stage where I'm like, it's here to have some fun. Look how bad this looks. Let's fix that. Let's make these edges a bit sharper and actually look a bit more like a flame. Yeah, Vulcans are cool. It will be interesting if he does get added back into the lore. This kind of looks more like a volcano. So just adding this like fluorescent orange. We could also maybe... Let's not do this with a size 2 brush, that's far too big. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm just waiting. This fire looks really bad. And that was one thing I'm quite good at, is actually making the fire rest in peace. I think the time schedule is getting to me, unfortunately. But I do have a video that'll be coming out soon, which will show you how you can actually make proper fire. Like these two lovely green boys. Especially on the shoulder pad, I think it looks pretty sick. So what I'm going to do is get my black paint back out again and kind of like rescue this. That's already looking a little bit better. Just adding a bit of that black paint. This is something that happens a lot with paints. You'll find a clogged up nozzle. That's why it's good to have an airbrush needle that we can just kind of like jam down it. Scrape some of that paint off first. Ugh. Oh, well, that hasn't happened before. How funny. Look at that. And you can see how vibrant it is by how vibrant it is on my fingers. And this is where the fire is going to start looking like fire, instead of just red blobs. Whenever you're painting like mimicry fire, if you can find some like luminescent paints, or just general fluorescent, it'll start looking pretty good. That's kind of looking like fire a little bit. I definitely need to work on some of those flame edges. Hey Jonathan, thanks for checking the stream out. And Studio. And Xander. So the goal of the stream was to paint a salamander in 1 hour. Unfortunately, I think we have failed horrendously. So if you're curious, off stream, this is what I managed to paint in about an hour and a half. Our little salamander brother here. With the glorious flame on his trousers. So it's definitely doable painting a salamander in an hour. And if you guys want a sneak peek into my next diorama, this will be a little exclusive. But here you go. Look at this bad boy. So this is a new diorama that will be coming out soon on my channel. It's a miniature diorama on top of a bottle cap. It's been pretty hot here, so drinking up tons. But I think this guy is really cool. You'll be able to watch this whenever I can get around to editing it. But it's to go with another diorama that I made previously. Just trying to think how to rescue this model. What would I do? Oh, I dropped my paintbrush. We've lost a man. So what I'd probably do next is add a black wash. Oh yeah, what mini is that? That's a speeder from Legion Imperialis. I've currently got a big diorama I'm planning with some Titans. Here's also another sneak peek. I'm also going to be painting a Raven Guard soon. So there's just a little peek about how this is coming along. There's still a lot of work needs to go into it, but the base coat's done. But yeah, the miniature on the bottle cap is, I think it's just a speeder bike, but the Legion Imperialis Titanicus scale. I don't think I have anything else. Just looking at my diorama shelf in front of me and think if there's anything interesting you guys might want to see. Thank you. Yeah. So that was... It's definitely a fun diorama. I'll grab another thing. So yeah, the bottle cap diorama is something really fun, really cool. This was my first one I ever made. So it's kind of just to go along with it about the Horus Heresy. As you can see, this is like a year old and it's looking all dusty. But these things are so small, like that Space Marine, compared to my thumb. I could just eat it. So, varnishing before oil washes. And if you haven't noticed, there's probably like a good 40-second delay to a minute. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. But yeah, unfortunately there's like a good minute delay, if you're wondering why I'm taking so long to reply to comments. But varnishing before oils, I don't do it. I like just to get really dirty. It's because I'm lazy. But let's just try some non-oil to see if it makes this look any different. Just get non-oil everywhere. But yeah, I like to just not varnish my miniatures. My most prized mini that I have close by. Ooh, okay, yeah, I actually can't grab it. It doesn't look as good now because it's really dusty. Gosh, you can see that it's coated in dust. But it's this diorama. Let me zoom out a bit. So it's this Space Wolves diorama. It's really, really dusty, unfortunately, so it's lost a lot of the colour, which I'll definitely have to dust it again soon. But it was a lot of fun. Like, you can see like the Tyranids all like splattered everywhere. I love it. I think that's my favourite thing I've ever made. But I've also done before I stand up, I've also done this cool fella. So it's a Blood Angel versus a Tyranid on a diorama just pouncing at each other. I like this dude. This guy was a lot of fun to make. Hi Arcadian Underwood. Thanks for watching the stream. Oh, and there's one huge one, which I don't know if it'll actually fit. This is my biggest diorama I've ever made. And yeah, it's not going to fit. But it's a big dragon. I might be able to angle his face and part of the diorama into it. But yeah, this guy was a lot of fun. Thanks. This is also one of my next videos. I kit bashed this lovely Sanguinary Guard to actually have these really nice angel wings. Where was I? Right. I find it funny coming back from my diorama work into this. I've never painted live on stream before, so it's kind of a fun experiment. So these wings are from do I have the box? So these wings are from this box here. The little secret, but you can see Dark Eldar with the wings. There you go. Lovely little kit bash. Yeah, they're from the Durakai set. You know your sets. That's right, I got so distracted with that. I forgot to wipe away the no-no that was all over this miniature. Yeah, it's funny to look at that sword. So what I'd usually do at this point Let's give up. No, I'd add a huge black enamel wash just so I can start to see the actual detail on the miniature. The good thing about base coating is it's not the end. And this is pretty much just a base coated miniature at this point. But I think he's starting to look alright. You can kind of see where it's going to go. Do I prefer 30k or 40k? That's 40k. I think, honestly, some of the miniatures from 30k are so much better. Like, as a Dark Angels glazer and fanboy, it's definitely 30k. I think, unfortunately, it seems like Warhammer 40k has gotten a bad draw with sculpts recently. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can quickly show. The Imperial Fist's pretty cool, but I think I've shown that earlier. He's a fun dude with a fun lightning. But yeah, a lot of my stuff is just hidden. Gosh, this is the point in the painting where I'm like, what do I do? Have a cheers to all you. Have a sip of coffee, is what I say. Yeah, I got the new Saturnine box literally right next to me. I really want to do a really cool fun kit bash with the Dreadnought, but I'm not sure what to kit bash him into. What do you guys think? Oh yeah, Flagrant Vandal. Bat wings for the vampires. He fell on the floor yesterday and broke, but here's your bat wings on a Night Lord. The other one's here. It fell off and I need to glue it. But it looks so good. Like having a Night Lord with like the bat wings, it looks insane. And I think it almost could be cool just to have one bat wing and maybe like a really deformed bit coming out the side. But I do have the other bit. It just broke off, unfortunately. How do I do the lightning? I have a tutorial on YouTube that I go briefly into that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Nurgle kit bash. I saw the Grey Knights kit bash. That looked insane. Who was it? Who did that? I can't remember. Someone on YouTube. Been showing off minis. This is also a Khorne Berserker. I think this would be a fun guy to speed paint in an hour. I think it would be maybe a lot harder. I think green, I struggle with green colours a lot. I think reds, oh, it's nice. Anything you can dry brush is a lot of fun. My desk is just a mini nightmare now. Just full of random stuff. But we're going to add a bit of yellow to this fire because I think it is salvageable. Centaurian Night Lord, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, a new Kaldor Drago model would be pretty sick. I like Grey Knights, but I finished the Dark Angels book. Oh, what what was it? Battle of Pandarax? I think it's that one. Where the Grey Knights fight alongside the Blood Angels. Not Blood Angels, Dark Angels. It happens quite a lot, but they leave on a really, a really bad foot. I won't spoil the book, but there's a really, really funny scene at the end where the Dark Angels do what the Dark Angels best and try and kidnap some Fallen. And the trick is, when you're painting fire, it's just like to have loads of different layers. I've messed this up a little bit, but yeah, the Watchers in the Dark are great. Totally not heretical. If we ever find out what they are, it's gonna be a fun day. I love the scene where like a demon looks at the Watchers in the Dark and it's like, what the hell is this? And then runs away. it really... I'm getting passionate now. I just want to see Gidderman and Lionel Johnson talk. That's all I want. And it's been 2 or 3 years. The camera's a bit off. Oh yeah, sorry. It's the because the vertical. My apologies. There is a horizontal stream, which is the one I see the most. Legion of the Damned. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the lore, or if there is much lore behind who they are. You'll see Lionel have an argument with Trazen. I mean, never say never. That would be an odd day. I just want to see Cypher talk more. I think Cypher. Here's my conspiracy theories. I'll hold a more interesting model. I'll hold this cooler model while I talk. I think Cypher is... My conspiracy theory is that he could be one of the main characters in the whole of Warhammer 40k. Mainly because in his book, he makes it to the Emperor's... Basically goes about to see the Emperor, and then the Emperor basically tells him, no, not yet. And I want to see why did the Emperor tell him no, not yet? I mean, for the Emperor to even speak to a Space Marine, you know, what's going on? And Cypher's just this really old dude. It'd be interesting to know who he is as well. Because, I mean, there's not that many Space Marines that could just, like, wipe out that many. He's secretly Alfarius. You know what? That would be a very fun plot twist. Maybe not the best, but it would be fun. I was trying to think. I dropped one of my paints. I think what might be nice to do quickly is just paint a bit of this leather. What I'm going to do is paint this brown and then with a bit of black. No, I do not have Master of Signals, unfortunately. Trying to make this leather look a bit dirtier. The enamel wash at the end will do most of the work though. But I think, as far as this miniature's done, we've messed up, or I messed up along the way, but that's alright. I definitely do want to come back to that. And this, here we go. This is, imagine this. This is what we painted. I'm going to zoom in. There you go. Definitely just painted this in the hour. Our lovely salamander boy. Alright. So, do you guys have any questions? Otherwise, I think I'll probably end up rounding the live stream off soon. Unfortunately, the 1 hour speed paint didn't quite go to the 1 hour mark I wanted it to be. But I'm happy to sit and chat for 5 minutes quickly about Warhammer nerdy stuff quickly. This will be my... Oh, can I reach him? No, I can't reach him. There you go. You can have a look at this little death card mini quickly. Yeah, salamanders are cool. I think I need to know a little bit more about their lore. Do I have any Primarchs? Well, I just spent an ungodly amount of money on Lionel Johnson's Forge World model. I haven't painted it or built it yet, but it's definitely one to look out for. My goal is to slowly get every single Primarch around the place. The Dorian Heresy. Now, I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but no. What's it like watching Americans fall into 40k? I think more people who like 40k is a good thing. More people who enjoy the hobby is always good. It's always nice to have new people come into the hobby and just like spread the joy. More the merrier, is what I'd say. Until they touch on stuff I like to gatekeep. But it's all good. It's all good fun. Oh, it's an alternative universe. Nice. I've never heard of it. I'll have to check it out after the stream. Painted any chapters? Not fully, but other than like just random space marine chapters, I mainly just paint dioramas. Something else that's a bit different. Here's something from Fallout. A Void Tyrant. Oh, I'd like to. There's a lot of really cool big models I'd really like to paint and show off. One is time. Warhammer's expensive. I do kind of... Thankfully, I make a reasonable amount of money back on these videos. Not enough to like make a profit, but enough to like buy another set of Warhammer a month. Minotaurs are fun. They're a bit douchey, but they're fun bad. Here's another model I made. This is an Inquisitor who I painted in a Black Templar style. No, I don't have any Trench Crusade. I thought about it, but I don't know if there wasn't anything that really screamed out to me that I really wanted. Also, they're not fully like, they're still like resin miniatures, I believe, or 3D printed. I might be wrong there though. But I kind of like to, I think I'm just focused on Warhammer stuff. Or Star Wars. I do love a good bit of Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, here's a Commander Cody that's not fully painted yet. But it shows you the scale difference between Shatterpoint and Warhammer. Really like this dude, he's pretty cool. Commander Cody, the best traitor in Star Wars. I haven't got any Halo miniatures yet though. I definitely want some to come along. But in terms of other stuff, Centurion Nightlord. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thanks for the recommendation. Alright, well, here is our half finished. We kind of got the flames starting to look a bit like flames. We got the base coat done. Just needs to have some highlighting and finishing some other stuff. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it here. Hope you all guys have a lovely evening or afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll hope to be live streaming a little bit more often. Let me know if you do want to see this. All this live stream will be on a VOD, if you do want to watch back at any weird stuff I've been doing. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like the video if you have enjoyed it, or subscribe if you're not. And I'll catch you guys next time. I hope you have a lovely week and weekend, and I might be back this time next week. I'll see you then. Thank you.